I will be brief. There's much to talk about. The Vice President and I want to thank him for his hospitality and look forward to his reciprocal visit to the United States. We've had an opportunity to talk at some length, and we'll have further opportunities. So I will be brief because I'm mainly here to listen. Much has changed since my first visit here, actually to this hotel over 30 years ago, with a group of, I was then a very junior United States Senator, and we were the first delegation to meet with Deng Xiaoping. I brought with me the heads of, we brought with us, the senators, the heads of certain American companies, two of whom are here today, although they weren't here 30 years ago, both Caterpillar and DuPont. And there was open discussion about the possibility of American business doing business in China, which was unheard of up to that point, and the reverse as well. And I'm pleased to say over 30 years later, I look around this table at such a group of successful and powerful business leaders, both in China and America, and it gives me reason to have great optimism about the next 30 years. I agree with what the Vice President said, and he listed the four areas that I will not go into detail, the 4 points he wanted to make. But with regard to the point about confidence, I want you to know that I have absolute unequivocal confidence in the strength and the vitality and the growth of the American economy. No one's ever made money betting against America. And I am absolutely confident as well that the two largest economies in the world are the road to world recovery. And we've had many discussions so far, many hours of discussions. I also agree with the Vice President that competition is healthy. It is good. It has awakened us. It has regenerated us. It is nothing but welcome on the part of the United States. And one other point we'll get to discuss today, I hope you will discuss, is that we welcome, President Obama and I, we welcome, encourage, and see nothing but positive benefits flowing from direct investment in the United States from Chinese businesses and Chinese entities. It means jobs. It means American jobs. We also welcome and are really encouraged by the 12th five-year plan and the reordering of the economy toward more consumer-based economy. That is also, I never tell another man or another country what's in their interest, but it seems to me it's very much in the interest of the Chinese and the Chinese people, but it's also in the interest of the United States. So I would also like to point out that we've made much progress, but there are some real and perceived barriers that exist in both countries that have to be dealt with. I think it's legitimate for Chinese business persons and government officials to point to the dilemma with the American visa process, which I very much want to work on with the Vice President. I think there's other things, but I also think you are aware that we think market access changes have to take place here in China as well. And so the Vice President and I have had all of our discussions, going back to our first meeting in Rome, based on mutual respect. And one of the things that I have a bad reputation for is being straightforward, and I'm really pleased that the Vice President has been straightforward as well. And so only friends and equals can serve each other by being straightforward and honest with them about the perceived injustices or the perceived tilting of a playing field. And you have legitimate concerns about access to America, and I would argue we have legitimate concerns in the reverse. But the trajectory of the relationship is nothing but positive and is overwhelmingly in the mutual interest of both our countries. And it's presumptuous to say this, but I think it's in the interest of the world. It's in the interest of the world that we increase the interaction between not only our business community, but our economies writ large. Obviously, economic issues have been a particular focus of the growing cooperation between the United States and China. Our governments are committed to and working hard to promote economic growth that's strong, that's sustainable, and that is balanced, fair, and open. Bilateral trade and investment between the United States and China, as is pointed out, is growing rapidly in both directions. We'd like it to go even more rapidly in terms of investment in the United States, because it creates jobs and it creates economic opportunities in both countries. And we will have more good news later today about greater access and also continued development and investment both ways. Our enhanced cooperation, to put it bluntly and succinctly, is extremely good for the United States. I would suggest, although you would be your own judge, I think it's good for China as well, and I think it's good for the wider world. And so in the spirit of trying to figure out how to resolve both perceived and real barriers that exist on both sides of the Pacific, I'm anxious to listen and be educated. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm anxious to hear what the people have to say.